Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is your multimedia designer, Bernard Fields, and I am here welcoming you guys to another show where we tackle today's tips, techniques, and also other things for you, the designer, and also for people who are clients. So today we're going to be talking about this book here that I've been reading for the past week. Is called Does It Work? And it is brought to you by the good people of Possible. And if you go over there at possible.com, you can find out that this is a worldwide agency that has been around for a number of years, but they've been putting out decade after decade of nothing but great material, and it just shows for itself. I mean, a lot of the things that they market, a lot of the things that they produce for are a lot of household items that we find within our homes right now, and even sometimes outside of the home. I mean, they've done things to vehicles, cars, clothing, you name it. Possible has made it possible. So the name fits them quite well. So I suggest that you should hurry on over to possible.com after this series, this episode here, and go check them out. So let's dive into it. This book right here, Does It Work? It covers 10 principles for delivering true business value in digital marketing. Now, we all must agree that we have come into an age where marketing has moved further away from paper marketing, such as items like this, or a paperback book, or even flyers, things that we get hand to hand or is mailed to us. And I'm not saying that these things will just dissipate or just completely disappear and vanish, or will never ever be used again. But ever since the invention of the internet, and now people are utilizing it more and more, especially along with their smartphones, because I think it's like around 80 to 85% of internet surfing is done with our mobile devices. How has that affected marketing? In a tremendous way, and in a great way. A lot of our marketing digital swing has happened because it's free. How often do you get on Twitter? How often do you get on Facebook, the two giant social media mongols, and you find advertising? Often. Sometimes it's just scattered here and there, and sometimes it goes viral. But at the end of the day, whether one person looked at it or whether a million people upon a million people have looked at it, we can all agree that to put it up there was absolutely free. It was just a click of a button. And that's why this book is so very, very, very important when it comes to giving these principles and talking about the business values of digital marketing. So some of the key highlights about this book is that it's interactive. If you go, and when you go to their website, possible.com, they're promoting a book. They're really pushing this book heavily, and I can see why. I mean, I'm already up to chapter number 4, but just looking back over chapter 1 today, I'm like, man, this book is so good. They have on their website introductions basically to each chapter. Each chapter, before you start reading, you're supposed to go to their website and watch a video that kind of sets the atmosphere and just really sets the foundation for you to go ahead and to have a better, deeper understanding and appreciation about what you're reading. But let's go ahead and let's take a look. I picked out a few things that I wanted to actually go ahead and read, because just for me to review this book and to go through chapter 1 and just to say, like, oh, here's some of the topics that they talk about, really won't do it justice. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of read what they have here. They're talking about in the introduction, it talks about the does it work process. And now let me go ahead and say this too. Whenever I say does it work, it took me a second to realize that they weren't asking me a question as I'm reading the book, because it kind of refers to the book as you're reading it to itself. Like, so does it work process really work? Or these are the things of does it work? And I was like, what? It's the grammatical, this is not right. But it is. It just took me a second just to recalibrate my brain to read this book. But anyway, the does it work process. It says here, it says below, we'll describe the 10 principles that comprise the does it work philosophy. But in essence, you can think of it as having 4 real steps. And I'll go ahead and I'll read through the 4 steps, and then I'll just go ahead and read the 10 principal highlights. And then what we'll do is just kind of go through the first chapter, which is talking about the first principle. So trust me, you're going to get a really quick, good overview of this book. So it says, number 1, we set goals. It says, does it work? Goals are a series of specific objectives that you set both for your business and every project or campaign you do. To them, we apply does it work criteria, or a solid matrix that define what success should look like. We use these metrics to help us understand progress against our goals, what's working or not, and how we should react. Number 2, inspire brilliant creativity. Creative intuition is vital and essential to everything we do in digital. While this book will deal more extensively with data, after all, that's what's new in the marketing world. Data must be in the service of creativity. Dumb Ways to Die was a great idea if the objective was to get tons of view. And let me pause right there. Dumb Ways to Die, just do a search on that video. And it talked a little bit about how Dumb Ways to Die was a great idea and it appeared to have reached the goal, but the actual data afterwards showed that it could have possibly done more damage, or it really didn't reach its full potential as to what the goal should have been. So just go ahead and look at the video, Dumb Ways to Die. Vinnie Jones, going back to the book, Vinnie Jones was a great creative idea, and the objective was to get plenty of views and also educate the audience. It used data in a terrific way to identify an area where an ad could achieve something. The data didn't hinder creativity. It ensured that it was not just brilliant, but also effective. Okay. Number 3, it says measure the results. Measurement is not a passive activity. It's a process of determining what's working, making adjustments, and learning from the results. You should not merely see if something worked or not. You should know how well it worked and what that teaches you about your customers. I'm gonna pause right there. That was really a game changer for me because a lot of the times as a designer, we are approached, and let's just say for an example, we're approached and someone wants us to create an ad for their company. They say, hey, I need an ad, I need a coupon design, can you do it? I said yes, and then I would put my price on it, go ahead and design it, and then I would hand it off, and that would be the end. There would be no follow-up, there would be no, hey, so how did that ad, affect your business? Reaching and digging for data, because in my mind, and like a lot of designers' minds, we just stop right when we get the payment. We feel like our work is done, and actually, you're probably right around the work still beginning. And I see more reasons why professional designers, why they charge so much, because they really understand that it's not going to stop when you give me the final payment, but I'm going to follow up and ask you the questions. How is your business doing? Because in turn, when I get the data, when I get the reply, I'm going to find out if I'm effective or not. If my design was effective, if the style, my approach, if what I did as far as getting research, trying to find out who the demographic was, did that pay off? Because if it worked and their business grew, then you shouldn't just pat yourself on the back, but you should be like, hey, okay, so what can I do better? What did I do to make that that such a success? And then even to even measure up against something like that, you would really have to kind of go in with the design and informing your client and saying like, okay, with some numbers, hey, we're hoping that this will increase the value of your brand by 10%. That way, when you're done with your design and you let some time go by and some more data is built up, and you ask for that data, you ask for that information, and you find out that you nailed it and it's at 10%, you're like, cool, I was dead on. What can I do to make it better? Or if you were over and beyond and you were like 15%, it's not just a pat on the back, but it's like, okay, what did I really do, to cause me to think that I undershot, because maybe I could push myself a little harder and maybe reach the 20 or the 25%. But if you are down by, like, let's say 4 and you hit 6%, then you can look at your design work and you can say, it was creative, but it really wasn't as effective. That's what they're really talking about here. And this book really just goes into great detail explaining more about that. Okay, so number 4, make a difference. It says, rather than simply getting industry recognition, we want to make sure we help brands and businesses meet their goals. Whether we're trying to save lives, boost revenue, or achieve global success, does it work? Helps us know that we've made a difference. And again, that's just piggybacking off of what I just said, but they said it so much better in one sentence. And I'll read that sentence again. It says, rather than simply getting industry recognition, we want to make sure we help brands and businesses meet their goals, because it's really not about us. It's more about the customer. In return, because of their success, we're going to have great success also. So it's not about, oh, I designed for such and such, and then that's it, and their business flopped. You had a hand in that, whether they had bad management on their behalf. Again, you going in as a designer is one thing, but going in as a designer with the marketing mindset, that is so powerful. And you can actually put a higher price on your head in a good way as to when you go and you're trying to seek out new clientele, because you're not just a designer. You are a person who markets, or a marketer. Okay, and it says, one of the interesting things we've learned from the Forrester study and our interview is that some regions of the world are much closer to our ideas than we think. Marketers in China tend to set much clearer objectives up front and tie performance and even compensation to whether things work or not. Marketers in the United States and Europe, and especially those operating in stressed economies such as the UK, rarely do so, if at all. Clearly, there is room for improvement. Okay, so they follow up with here saying that they have some core principles. Does it work is organized around 10 principles, which are also chapters of this book. You should see these not as a roadmap, but as a way to think about data and digital, and how to move your organization to make better advantage, or to take better advantage of its challenges and opportunities. So this is for those who are graphic designers. I just say designers, period. But really graphic designers, because this really leans more towards digital marketing. And also people who are clients, people who are seeking graphic designers, or seeking an agency to help their business go to the next level so that you can reach your goals. It is really, really, really important that you apply this to your clients, but also apply it to your personal brand. For myself, I am trying to promote my brand as who I am as a designer, as a multimedia specialist. And if things are not working, it's not me just saying, well, it's just not working. It's like, okay, I'm looking at numbers. I'm trying to find out, looking at analysis, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Facebook, using Buffer. Again, go to buffer.com, go check that out and subscribe. Like, really utilize that. It's a personal investment, as JT Vaughn, a good friend of mine, has said. All right, so I'm not gonna read the 10 principles here. I'm just gonna read the topics, the titles here. It says principle 1. It says business goals are everywhere, and we're going to go into principle 1 here shortly, a little more extensively. Principle 2, a collective vision. Principle 3, data inspires creativity. Principle 4, finding unicorns. Yes, you go on a unicorn hunt, man. The question is, are you a unicorn? I believe I'm a unicorn. Principle 5, culture predicts success and failure. Principle 6, measure what matters. Principle 7, what it's worth. Principle 8, never stop improving. That's like my motto. I love that. And then number 9, it says one size fits no one. So true. And then principle 10 is framework for innovation. So let's go ahead and let's just flash forward here to this chapter where it says business goals are everywhere. And I'm not going to bore you by reading this thing, but at the top here, they have go to possible.com/principle1. And that is principle spelled with the CIPLE, not a PAL, like a principal at a school. So let's see here. I had a couple of markers here that I wanted to bring up. Let's see. I'm going to just read this introduction here. Here we are, where we are here. Here we go. I'm going to read this little introduction as soon as I find it. Okay, here we go. Cool. So what you have here, good grief. That's what happens when you don't have bookmarks. Okay, here we go. Introduction. Wow. All right. It says here that business goals are the foundation of this book. Without them, you can't begin to understand your effectiveness, gain insight, or improve anything. Each goal is the it and does it work. Today, many brands have business goals, but a far smaller number are using metrics to back them up. Still, fewer are using data to evaluate their marketing efforts on an initiative by initiative basis. This may not seem important, but it is. If you don't set good goals up front and measure progress against them, you'll never understand what works. You'll simply look at your efforts in a rearview mirror. And then it says, in this chapter, we discuss what good goals are, how to establish criteria for evaluating them, how to measure them effectively, and how to use the results to learn and also to grow. And I'm just going to keep moving here, going to float right along. It talks about like some of the things that should be used when coming up with like your goals. It says that goals, they should be specific. You know, they can't be vague. They have to be something that's measurable. And they're talking about it being realistically, like you just can't say, oh, I'm reaching for the stars, and it's like almost impossible. That's like me waking up in the morning and saying like, yeah, I'm going to get by the end of this week 1 million YouTube subscribers. Like, no, that's not going to happen. Right now, I may have, I don't know how many YouTube. Let's just say I have 50 subscribers. Realistically, I would say by the end of the week, I want to reach 55. I want to grow 5 more subscribers by this week. That would be a realistic goal, and it's also measurable because by the end of the week, I can turn around and look and say, okay, what did I do to be able to make this goal, to not make the goal, or to exceed the goal? Okay, is it achievable? Just got finished saying that. You know, is it realistic? Also, is it relevant? And then also have it be time bound. And a time bound mean like that you put it within a time frame. You just don't say, well, one day, you know, it'll happen. Like that one day will, I ain't gonna say it will never come, but you can't really measure how well you're doing to make that day come about. So if you say that, if I said that, you know, taking my YouTube example, I'm at 50 subscribers and I want to have 5 more subscribers, and I just stopped right there. Yes, I was specific. Yes, I have something measurable. Yes, it's achievable, and yes, it's relevant. But I didn't put any time to it, so I'm just kind of like I don't have no accountability as to reach this particular goal at a specific time. So time is very, 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 very important factor when it comes to being able to measure this out and see if what you're doing is working. Moving on, let me see. There was another section here. Yes, I'll read this to you guys. It says talking about setting business goals, because that's very, very, very important. Right here, it says the actual process of setting business goals consists roughly of 4 steps, and that's research, analysis, goal setting, and adoption. So number 1, research. It says first you need to find data and other information to determine what is important and achievable. You then get input from all stakeholders. Now, stakeholders, they're talking about big company. You're talking from the perspective of you going to a brand, to a company, or a company coming to you. This is what you need to do. But you can also utilize the exact same steps when it comes to your own personal brand. It says first, it says research. First, you need to right up to the stakeholders. It says typically when we're leading goal setting exercises, we sit down with each person one-on-one in their office. This helps eliminate groupthink. We then ask a series of questions about what that person believes the business should try to achieve. Number 2, it says analysis. Next come analysis. You need to sift through the data and interviews and identify the most important challenges or opportunities facing the brand. You should not look for consensus, which can produce weak goals. Find data that produce smart and actionable ones. Number 3, goal setting. It says we typically suggest setting 3 to 5 goals. If you have only one single goal, it's often too general and makes it hard for all parts of the organization to feel like they can contribute. Having too many goals is equally problematic. Such organizations usually are working on so many things that they might as well have no goals at all. After that, you should identify specific metrics called does it work criteria for evaluating progress against them. Each goal needs at least 3 supporting metrics, unless the goal itself is a metric. And then lastly, number 4, adoption. At this point, you need to align everyone in the organization to those goals. This is an ongoing process that never really ends, and we discussed it at length in chapter 2. So I'm just going to stop right there and just tell you just how good this book is. This book is life-changing for me already within a week. I've had this book since last Thursday. I got it last Thursday night. And I can't imagine how things are going to change for me in the future. I think that by the time I'm finished reading this book, I would have grown a good 5 years in knowledge and being able to apply this, being able to put this to practice. I think it's really going to put me in a better position than where I am right now. Does it work? Yes, it definitely does. That is my legitimate answer to the question, does it work? So go to possible.com and click on where they talk about like the whole book thing, like, does it work? They actually have a does it work page. And if you go to possible.com, I'm looking on my other computer here, possible.com / does it work? There you will find all types of like stuff to watch. It talks about the book. It has like little share buttons. It has little videos you can watch. It's just filled with like, let me see, you got 3 across. It has at least, God, it has to have at least 60. It seems like it has like about at least 50 to 60 squares on here that is just really the book being well promoted. They have something on there for everybody. And I really just can't say how grateful I am that Possible was able to make this possible. And I'm here to share this knowledge with everyone. This is not a one-man show. And at that, I'm going to open up the floor for any of my viewers that are here that would like to contribute. And if not, while I'm talking, I can be wrapping it up to let you guys know that every Wednesday for the next 9 weeks, we are going to be taking a chapter from this book, Does It Work? And we're going to dissect it. We're going to go over it kind of like how we did tonight. And who knows, possibly start a book club I mean, this is definitely one of those books that designers should gather around and really like have open floor discussions about it, because it's going to do nothing but just make your business better, and also the businesses of your clientele, the people that you come in contact with. So I'm going to go ahead and end it right here. I'm going to be leaving from here and I'm going to go over to Blab, because that's what I normally do. Normally, I keep things really specific and structured here with the show. And then I travel over to Blab, and that's a little bit more open, where it flows a little bit more organic and it's not so strict as it is here. But the show's going to only get better here. So we're going to hope to have more people to come in. We're going to have guest speakers. They're going to share their wealth and knowledge. And it's just going to grow. It's just going to only get bigger, and it's only going to get better. And also, by the way, let me just go ahead and throw this challenge out. I don't have a title for this show at all, and I need a title, like something that is catchy, but yet not corny. And examples that come to mind is like Film Riot with Ryan Connolly. His show is awesome. I love Film Riot. Another one would be Rocket Jump. That may sound corny, like at first it did. Like I remember when Rocket Jump, when they kind of like first got that name, like it was based off of a move that Freddie Wong had did in one of his videos. Like it was a rocket jump. He was trying to escape somewhere and he shot the rocket at the ground, hence the logo of Rocket Jump, and launched him into the air, and he was able to hop over the enemy and get away. But regardless, I need something that's cool, that's going to shout multimedia specialist. You know, that's who I am, and that's what I'm pushing and promoting, all that good stuff. Like I do work for a company that's called Concretize Studios, and that's his own separate entity, and that's all good and cool, and I'm working on pushing and promoting that. That's kind of like going through a rebranding process also. But I really want something that's cool for this show here, you know, that we're going to do every Wednesday night. And I don't know, maybe I'll throw a little prize in there for people who are watching. It can slip me a nice little name for this show. That'd be awesome. So if you have a name for this show, you can find me on Twitter at NUNCIO78, or you can find me on Facebook at fb.com. Again, that's short for facebook.com/NUNCIO78, or you can email me at, you get it, NUNCIO78@gmail.com. Don't be a stranger, and until next time, guys, always put forth your best. So people that are watching, I'm getting ready to go over to Blab. So I'm going to hang out there for the next half an hour. If you guys care to join in, that'll be super awesome. I don't know if I'm gonna start my own Blab or not, or I may just hunt around and just kind of like just jump in someone's Blab. I don't know. I might just get on Blab and make it happen.